The top general in the United States Army got fired back in April, and we got no explanation at the time. So all summer long, we wondered what happened when Pete Hegseth put this guy's picture away. Well, on Wednesday morning, the WAPO explained all of it. This general wanted to find out why 2 Apache attack helicopters hovered over a protest and then buzzed Kid Rock's swimming pool. And yet, Pete Hegseth didn't want to know. So let's go back to March 28th, because we talked about the flyby when it happened. But that was a bit ago. So you had 2 AH-64 Apaches out of Fort Campbell, 101st Airborne, on a training mission, hovering over a No Kings protest in Nashville. Then they flew over to Kid Rock's mansion, the one that he calls the Southern White House, and essentially put on a show while he stood there by the pool next to a replica Statue of Liberty, and he saluted. He posts the video on social media, and he adds that this is a level of respect the, quote, shit for brains governor of California will never know, end quote. A real statesman. Coat of many colors, that guy, most of them just from the chic, desecrated flag collection. But then, within 3 days, the Army did what the Army should do. They grounded the pilots, opened an investigation, and they wanted to look at, were FAA rules violated? What were the safety protocols? Who approved this flyby? And why exactly was an attack helicopter loitering over citizens that were exercising their First Amendment rights in the first place? But Pete Hegseth posts this. Thank you, Kid Rock. U.S. Army pilot suspension lifted, all caps. No punishment, no investigation. Carry on, Patriots. The little flag emoji. The Secretary of Defensiveness, the Secretary of War Crimes. I keep forgetting that he changed his letterhead. He nixed an Army safety investigation via tweet and then thanked the guy who got the inappropriate flyby. And according to the WAPO, General Randy George, the Chief of Staff of the Army, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, 4-star general, the actual top soldier in the building, wanted an investigation. Not necessarily to punish anybody, but to follow protocol and find out if and why rules were broken. And just days before this guy got fired, the Army's number 2, General Chris Leneve, went to this other general and told him Hegseth didn't want this investigation to proceed, and it'd be best if you just left it alone. And all of this came from 3 sources, according to the WAPO. So George told his colleagues he was troubled by this interference. Unnerved is the word that one of them used. I mean, of course, this expensive Army asset, 2 helicopters, were seemingly used to intimidate people that were exercising their First Amendment rights, and then violated safety rules to thank a trashy, terrible musician just because he's friends with the president. Remember, this is the Department of Defense that is currently begging Congress for more money for its illegal war and $500 billion more for the future. Anyway, by April 2nd, General Randy George gone. No official word given as to why, and you can guess who's the acting Chief of Staff now, and still the favorite for the permanent job, Leneve, who before he was the Army's number 2, was Pete Hegseth's personal military assistant. Interesting. And to make a long story short, too late, the butler did it. Leneve walked in, kept everything tidy, and walked out with the house. So let me ask you guys in the comments, if you're a soldier at Fort Campbell right now, what did you learn from this? Was it that the rules apply until a famous guy with a swimming pool posts a video on social media? And what happens to the next general who decides, I need to play by the rules? Does he actually even bother? And if it's not, then what are we going to do about it? And of course, this isn't the first guy who got punished for disobeying Pete Hegseth's wishes. He already forced out the previous vice chief, General Mingus, to put Leneve in that chair. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He's fired the head of the Navy, the Coast Guard Commandant, the Air Force Vice Chief, the NSA Director. The list is so long that Forbes is running it as a sidebar now. Every single one of them replaced by somebody whose main qualification is they don't ask questions. That man's a heartbreaker. And Hegseth's answer to the Post didn't mention the conversations at all. He just praised Leneve and said his critics are, quote, the same out-of-touch so-called insiders who've spent years undermining our military with woke politics and endless wars. Endless wars. He is the endless war guy. I mean, really, seriously. This is the guy who's running an illegal war in Iran for 6 months. And he's calling a 4-star general who commanded troops in 3 wars an insider. Good Lord. But the biggest issue here has nothing to do with like Kid Rock, okay? An investigation, an Army investigation, is how the Army finds out whether or not a crew flew an attack helicopter over a crowd of protesters on purpose. And who told them to do that? And there was a 4-star general who wanted that answer, and he got walked right out of the building. And you have to remember what Donald Trump said about this whole thing too, because he told a Republican senator, quote, "Tell the general I'm sorry," and then he blamed it on Hegseth. So the president knows that this was wrong. Republican senators know this was wrong. And the Post has 3 sources saying why. What is light without dark, the man said. Turns out it's the Pentagon. And look, this week, the country lowered its flags for a woman who turned down a medal from this White House twice. Dolly, half-staff. Kid Rock gets an Apache salute. One of them earned her honor. The other one got a general fired for asking why and shot up a bunch of Bud Light. And subscribe to the Ring of Fire, because the Army, they can't investigate this anymore, but we're going to keep looking into it. And that's why we would depend on your likes, your comments, your shares. And if you really support the mission of Ring of Fire, do me a favor, become a member.